We have here today Crystal Weaver from Commons Company. Hey, Crystal. Hello. How are you?
Hello. Good.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
We have Losel from Propeller Coffee.
Good morning.
Hey,
hello, everyone.
And Philip Searle from DR Wakefield. We're going to
Hello,
start.
everybody.
Hey, Phil. Sorry. We're going to start the panel very soon. So if you have any questions for our panelists, please send them through our event chat. We'll select a few questions to be answered live. Now, we all know that the coffee supply chain is very big and very diverse. Coffee connects the world through the work of farmers, co-ops, exporters, traders, importers, roasters, coffee shops, and of course, the coffee professionals that make this coffee get to the consumer's cup. But what does it mean to be a B Corp in each of the segments of our coffee supply chain? To answer that, we invited, again, Philip Searle from DR Wakefield, a coffee trading house in the UK, Losel from Propeller Coffee, which is a specialty micro-roastery in Canada, and Crystal Weaver from Commons Company, a business that manages multiple cafes in the US and offers consultancy and training service to other retail businesses. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today. We are super excited to learn from you. Can you hear me well? Is that okay? Yep?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So, well, we are very excited to learn from you, and I think the way to begin is by asking you to please introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about your business, tell us how your business first became interested in becoming a B Corp. Just let us get to know you a little bit better. Maybe we can start with Losel.
Somehow knew you were going to pick on me first. So very nice to meet you, and thank you to you and Gabriel and the whole team at doTERRA for hosting this. This is a fantastic initiative, and when we saw it was Coffee B Corps Gathering, it was fantastic. So thank you for hosting and organizing. Propeller Coffee, we've been roasting since 2013, so just coming up on our 8th birthday. We are based in Toronto and are, in the west end of Toronto. For any of you that have been to Toronto, know that it's a very international, very cosmopolitan city. Some people say more languages are spoken here than any other city in the world, and we're super proud to be headquartered here. We, as you mentioned, are a micro roaster. In 2016, we won the Roast Magazine Micro Roaster of the Year, and have always focused on 3 core things. Quality first and foremost, so it's got to be great coffee at every stage. So from green through roasted and through finally the preparation at that final kind of 30 seconds, 32 seconds, whatever the recipe calls for. And so quality first and foremost, sustainability second, and that sustainability built into everything that we do. So from our environmental footprint to our business processes, and then the full robust kind of B Corp model, which I'm sure we'll get into more. And then the final piece is community. And we say, it's both the community, it's the communities we operate in. So whether that's here in our kind of neighborhood, whether that's at origin, where we're buying our coffees from our farmers and our cooperative partners in the at origin. And it also means the communities in which our coffee is being served. And so whether that's, in the neighborhood that a cafe partner is, or a restaurant, or an office, wherever those locations are, we want to have a positive impact on those communities. My background is strategy and sustainability consulting. I did that for 15 years all around the world, based out of London, based out of Toronto. And so in starting Propeller, we wanted to make sure that sustainability was at the heart of what we do. And the thing that we most love about the B Corp certification is the fact that it's a rigorous third-party assessment, and it's not just a badge that you can put on. There's all of the different elements of the certification, and the fact that you have to continuously renew and continuously improve in order to maintain the certification. So for us, it took us a couple, 3 years after we started, but we were a very small team. And I think we were Canada's first B Corp certified micro roaster, and just really proud to be a part of this group.
Great, thank you. Maybe we can move on to Crystal. Crystal, could you please introduce us a little bit about Commons? I know that you guys do a lot of stuff, so please explain your
Hi.
business.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here today and a pleasure to be a doTERRA partner. One of our businesses under Commons Company is Passenger Coffee Roasters, and we have 2 retail cafes for Passenger, one of whom was making espresso this morning with doTERRA. It was tasting great, so it's a pleasure to be here with you today and be a part of this event. So I got started in coffee in 2006, I guess the same year that B Corp got started, though I had no idea what it was at the time. I just kind of fell into it because I thought I wanted to own my own business. Hadn't grown up in coffee, wasn't familiar with it. But as I got a few years in, I saw the way that owning a coffee shop in a community gave you a certain, maybe a voice, or I saw the opportunity to have influence throughout the cafe model, and that having a business around coffee and cafes could have some impact. So just playing around with that idea in my mind, like, what does it mean to use our business, just one cafe at the time, to have impact at all levels? And I read the book Building a Social Business by Muhammad Yunus years ago, and I think he said something in there about B Corps, and I researched it and thought, I feel like this is something that we should do as a company at some point, someday, because I was interested in taking at the time what I felt like were good intentions and kind of my best guesses at how to be a good business, a business that was interested in more than just making money, and actually put some structure around it. So over the years, as the business grew, started a coffee roastery, that's Passenger, a little over 5 years ago. Joined up with my current business partner, Kyle Sullenberger, and we co-own everything that we do together. We started a kitchen, a catering company, a bakery, and then we have 5 retail locations, 5 retail cafes, all under the name of Commons Company. So we got Commons Company certified as the first B Corp. We did Passenger separately, in part because the way the coffee roasting company operates, we felt like it was collecting different types of metrics and had different ways of operating than all of our retail cafes. So our first certification was through the retail cafes, and going through the 200-point assessment is really useful, not just for the accountability that we now have as a certified business, but really for us as a small business, it was a roadmap to figure out how to become the type of business who could have impact on all levels. How could we limit the way that we were impacting the environment in negative ways? How could we give back in a positive way? How could we truly live out our vision statement, which says we belong to and nourish our community through inspiring concepts, thoughtful hospitality, and meaningful employment? It felt like by going through that assessment, it brought life to all of our goals. Like, how can we really be a part of our community? How can we take care of the environment? And then how can we just be a sustainable business at the end of the day? And for us now, 3-4 years into it, we just got recertified. I feel like now I'm interested in how can we influence others, and being a part of this event today was part of that. Like, how can we continue to maybe inspire other people to consider this for their businesses as well? I'll just stop there for now.
Great, thank you. I love what you said about how you first became interested in becoming a B Corp, about being a roadmap, about what you can do better. I think it speaks a lot about the intentions, and it's the same reason we in doTERRA became interested in B Corp as well. So I think we're very aligned on that. Last but not least, I would like Phil from DR Wakefield to introduce us a little bit about the only importing business that we have here in this panel today. Phil, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Philip Searle, so part of DR Wakefield. So DR Wakefield was set up by Derek Wakefield in 1970, the father of the current owner, Simon Wakefield. As an import business, we really based the whole business on sustainable coffee. So we were the first importer to bring in fair trade, and organic in 1994 into the UK, and then the first one to bring in rainforest in 2003. And actually, doTERRA's coffee was the first rainforest coffee in the UK. So that was a great little partnership to have there. So we will import specialty, premium and commercial lots, as we believe it's great to work with the farmers on all their range. So we all know that farmers don't just produce specialty coffee, they have lower grades, and we'll try and find an avenue for them. So that'll be through small roasters up to larger roasters and larger multinationals. Why we thought about becoming B Corp is because we thought that we had a lot of focus on the producer side with fair trade, organic and rainforest, but with B Corp, it kind of cements the whole chain, including our customers and our suppliers as well, that don't actually supply coffee. So it kind of brings everyone together, and just thought it gave us a good structure of how to base the whole business going forward. We don't have a sustainable department, so it was a good way to put in some roadmaps how we can go forward and grow. So, no, thank you very much, doTERRA, for sorting this, and look forward to this.
Thank you. Guys, I just want to remind you that today we have a lot of people watching us who own business or work for business that are not yet a B Corp. So sometimes this whole using business as a force for good can sound a little bit abstract for those who are not so involved with the certification like we are. So I would like you guys to please explain some projects, some more practical activities that makes you a B Corp. So for example, Losel, what is it that Propeller does that makes it a B Corp roasting business?
Gotta stop picking on them, please. No. If I can just really quickly just say one thing, and I think both Crystal and Phil touched on it, and it's really important. For all of you out there that are considering B Corp, are interested in B Corp, the 200-point assessment that Crystal referred to and that Phil just talked about as helping structure the business, if you get a chance and it's only a couple, 3 hours of your time, take a quiet evening, take an afternoon on a weekend, and just go through that assessment. It's, as Crystal said, super, super helpful for helping you think through all the different parts of your business where you have a combination of existing projects, some projects that you're beginning to consider as a team or personally, and then I think Crystal used a great word, intentions. So it really helps you kind of think through all of those different things, projects, plans, intentions, and put structure to it. We ended up doing 3 buckets, and our 3 buckets were things we're doing and are well documented, things that we're doing but aren't documented, and things that we should consider doing, because that's part of what the assessment brings up, is things that you could do and that are beneficial, B Corp, so beneficial either for ourselves or for our partners. And that exercise is worth its weight in gold. In terms of some specific projects, so it sounds like about the same stage as Crystal. We are actually just a little bit behind maybe. So we certified the first time in 2017. We're going through our recertification preparation right now, and will be sometime in the next few months here. And I won't cover projects that we've done already. Those mostly include things that are environmental footprint related. So, renewable energy for both our building as well as our roasting equipment. Various things like that, including the B Corp charter statement, the paragraph in our articles of incorporation. There's a number of things there that are very specific projects that we did in wave 1. The projects that we've either just completed or are completing in time for this reassessment are things that kind of get deeper into the business. So for our core roasting team, we've committed to a living wage. We've implemented and are in the process of implementing extended health and dental benefits, because we know, Toronto is an expensive city, inequalities are rife, and for any of our team, we want to make this a viable career, and we want to make it fair and equitable. There's a number of other projects in there that touch on the customer, on the team and the employee side. And then there's also some that kind of touch between governance and the team, which are around profit sharing and equity participation in the actual business. And then there's some other sustainability ones, some more environmental ones. So we've just upgraded our packaging. We've been moving along the compostable spectrum, and kind of going as the packaging is evolving. We're trying to stay at the leading edge so that our packaging is about to become, in the next several weeks, the most compostable that it can be. And we're pretty excited about that. So we're going to be rolling that out. So those are some of the tangible things. And I can't say enough about doing the assessment and getting a flavor for what it is that B Corp's looking for.
Yes. Now, Phil, there aren't that many coffee importers who are B Corp certified, but Wakefield is. Could you please share with us what is it that Wakefield has been doing to earn the B Corp certification?
Well, I think that because we've been around for over 50 years, we've got some long-term relationships with suppliers. A lot of them we've dealt with for 30 plus years, and some the same with the clients as well. And we are very much a open book importer. So we'll be very happy for coffee roasters just to chat with producers, and then, let there be open communication there. So I feel that has helped us stay at the forefront as one of the few importers in the UK. So we're still one of the few independents that are in the UK, which I think just shows that we're doing the right thing. We try to bring in new coffees as well, and try new products, even if they don't work out very well. So we are always pushing ourselves, really. So our next stage is probably to be carbon neutral in quite a few years' time, but it's not a tomorrow project. One of my colleagues has to go through all of that. Starting new projects at origin as well. So just whether it's clean water projects in Ethiopia or community projects in Costa Rica. So we've always got to look not only what we're doing with producers, but we've also got to be looking at what I think is the key word with B Corp is the stakeholders. So making sure that everyone is looked after. So
awesome. Thank you.
I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely. Now, Crystal, I know that you do a lot of things, but I would like to know if you could maybe focus a little bit on your retail experience and tell us what are the things that Common does in the retail part that, makes it deserving of a B Corp certification.
Sure. Yeah. Phil used the word stakeholders, and I think that for any of you who are considering becoming a B Corp, involve your staff, involve your team. They're one of your stakeholders. I don't know that we'd have made it to certification without one person in particular on our team who loved the idea, who cared about becoming certified as much as Kyle and I did. And she was like, let me go after this. And she kind of sat us down on a regular basis and said, okay, how do we want to put this policy in place or that policy in place? And she was very involved in getting us initially certified. But what I've found is that our team in our retail cafes loves the idea and the energy behind the vision behind B Corp. They get it. They want to be a part of a business that's a B Corp, that is values-based, that is intentional in everything they do. So a lot of our ideas that we come up with, or the things we try to do in a retail cafe, actually come from them, or at least, welcomed by them. So one thing we do that I feel like was inspired by the B Corp process was we decided to do paid volunteer time off. We say to our staff, hey, we want to be involved in our community. What does that actually look like? So each of the cafes has adopted a block that they pick up trash on a regular basis. We pay, it's just 8 hours a year at this point, 8 hours of paid volunteer time for them. But as you're onboarding often 17 to 27-year-olds in their very first job, they're super excited about that. Like, oh, cool, I get to volunteer and get paid for it. And then just, that's always a great like opportunity to have a conversation with them about how they could be a part of their community and give back beyond even those 8 hours that we're inspiring them to do. On the environmental side of things, we encourage all of our staff to bring their own mugs and cups and not use any of the single-use products in the store. That's a change in many of their ways of thinking, at least in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where probably from the parts of the world that some of you are from, that's normal for people to think more carefully about single-use products, but not so much in our area. So we've been able to influence the way that they think about that. We transitioned all of our cafe products over to compostable material. I remember I had a guy come to me, probably like 10 years ago already, and he said, hey, can I do a trash audit for you? This was before we were talking about being a B Corp. And I was like, what's a trash audit? And he literally dug through all of our trash in our cafe basement and said, hey, 80% of your trash is compostable and could be diverted, and only like 20% of it really would actually need to go to the traditional landfill. So we were able to partner with a local company to take all of our waste and actually compost it. Now it goes back out into turf fields, I believe, sports fields is where it ends up. So on the, from the environmental side of things, that's kind of how the cafes have given their energy. One of the projects that's always been lurking around in my mind is finding a way to do reusable containers for food packaging. Everyone knows what it's like to have their own mug that they bring in, and we discount and incentivize people to bring their own mugs. But no one's really done it on the food side of things. I've seen it done in North Carolina, where there's, the city, the restaurants in the city agree, hey, we're going to have this package that we're all going to put our takeout food in, and it's going to go to a central washing station if people bring it back and reuse it, and they get to be a part of a reusable container club. I don't actually know if it is the most sustainable idea in the world, but part of the reason I want to do it is because I think it's an influencer. It would help people think differently about the environmental impact that they have, about how they live their daily lives and how much waste they create. So that's one of the ideas on that front. Something else we're working on right now in the cafes is figuring out how to become more transparent about all of the finances and the behind the scenes. I don't know that we'll ever end up in a place where we have employee ownership in the cafes due to the high amount of turnover that happens in those settings, but we do want people to be able to see how the business operates and to have transparency there. We're starting with the managers, trying to figure out what that looks like for everyone involved. And then on the coffee roasting side of things, working hard to do an actual sustainability transparency report as well. Just feel like it's important for people to have visuals, not just our staff, but also the community, to see how we're operating and be able to hold us accountable.
Absolutely, I love it, especially the volunteering part. Super cool. Now I want to something that Losel said that really resonated was how you said that there were things that you weren't doing but were not being communicated. So that brings me to the next question. We all know that communicating these efforts that we do in sustainability and in community is a challenge for in coffee business, right? So I just want you guys to maybe tell us a little bit of what you do to communicate this to your clients, to your customers. I think maybe we can start with Crystal, since she is the link of the chain who is closer to the final consumer. What is it that you do? I was going to ask Losel, but he's going to say that I am picking on him, so I'm going to switch it up.
You are picking on him. I'm happy to start. The communication is hard. Personally, I'm more interested in us living well and being sure that internally we are actually doing the things that we say we're going to do. Like maybe it's the integrity side of things. Like the most important to me is that we're doing the best we can in terms of how we manage all of the things we care about, like that we are actually making money as a business so that it lives into the future and continues to provide for the 70 plus people that work for us, that we're thinking about our environmental impact and that we're thinking about our community. And as you all know, that's like this constant tension because they all compete with each other, and finding a way to make them play together is what I'm most interested in. We talk to our customers about the B Corp certification, but they don't always care or even want to know. So you got to just find the right opportunities to share about it. We made sure that our staff were fully aware of how to speak about it, that they had a short elevator speech that they could share if someone asked about it, if they saw the sign or they saw the logo. But we haven't found a great way to communicate it. If one of you have, I'll be interested to hear what it is. At this point, it's like putting the logo everywhere and hoping people do their research. I will say this, in case I don't get a chance to later, I have, ever since we became a B Corp, one of the great things that has happened for us is that we do have people contact us out of the blue who want to work for us specifically because we are a B Corp. That never happened before, that people, found us in really abstract ways. But I get emails. I just got one this morning that said, I was researching companies with values. I was looking at B Corp companies in the area. You're one of them in Lancaster. I would like to work for you. And that's great. Like, just from a business sustainability standpoint, it's awesome to get applications from people who share your values and who sought you out. It's also great because, they care about the things you care about. And they're going to contribute to that momentum. Like if they join your team, they're going to add their ideas and their energy behind that. And they're going to be a mouthpiece for it. But that's about all I can say as far as how we talk about it.
Awesome. Now, Phil, I know that Dear Wakefield has become a B Corp very recently. So I suppose that you guys are going through this challenge of communicating your efforts as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's completely correct. We only got certified back in December, so we are a baby B Corp, if you want to call it that way. We've just done the usual routes of social media and blogs, and a lot of people, when you put the B Corp logo, that starts off a conversation as well. So a lot of people in the UK still don't know much about it. So that's how we're really spreading the word. But hopefully more importers and roasters can join it, because I think it's just a great platform, and it just means you're going to be sustainable in the coffee industry for years to come. Because even whenever we have, say, our fair trade audits, it's a given after the audit that producers are paid fairly. But with even our conventional coffees, we had to show B Corp that we work with our producers as well. So it just shows that we're paying equal prices for all of our range. So I think it's just a continual project and shouting about it.
Sure. One of the reasons that we decided to do this event is because as a default, the specialty coffee industry seems to be an industry that cares about these kinds of things. So, but that doesn't mean that it's not challenging. Like Crystal said, that she has, that is not the easiest task to communicate that to the final consumer. But I think that in the coffee community, it's very open to these kinds of things. So now, lastly, I'm going to ask Losel if he has figured out how to communicate that appropriately.
You gave me a little extra time, so
yes.
I had the benefit of listening to Crystal and Phil. No, I think to echo Crystal's comments, it's a tough one, because I think, by its very nature, it's about doing the right thing and about the integrity associated with just doing the right thing. And I think as a team, and I think I heard it kind of woven into what Crystal and Phil were just saying, it's not something that you necessarily want to brag about. It's things that you want to do. It's things that you want to, have the team and your partners do, and just kind of get on with it. I think, picking your moments is important. So for instance, this morning, started the day with a new customer or potential customer, And through the course of the conversation, we were hearing some of the values and the intentionality coming from them. And then we were able to weave into that conversation, you know, the importance of local, the importance of giving back to the community, the importance of, you know, making really tangible and impactful kind of initiatives on environmental footprint. So it's picking those moments and kind of quietly weaving it through. And I think the team and the staff piece, I think for me, one of the most energizing things when we started this was how energized the team became. So there was the core team that helped get us over the line, doing the assessment and the interview process that goes with the assessment, getting all of that done. And then since in the 4 years, just seeing how energized the team gets, both intrinsically in doing the whatever the projects are, but also when they hear customers or partners kind of playing back to us some of the things they appreciate about what we're doing, they get energized even more. And I think it's this really neat kind of feedback loop. And then, you know, the other thing is this, fellow B Corps. We're not a very big B Corp community in Canada. We're certainly growing, but there's, I think, several hundred of us in Canada. And doing things like this, doing collaborative social media kind of campaigns or other things where we're able to work together as a B Corp, I think really helps, because people are like, oh, you know, I hadn't really thought about B Corp in this context, but I know, you know, this great brewery just near Ottawa, Bose, one of my favorite, they do some great things, and there's some really neat opportunities for collaboration there. And then I think the final thing is on social. We try to very intentionally, you know, we're not shy about being a B Corp, about being values led and kind of purpose driven, but we try to just kind of weave it into what we're saying anyway, because that's kind of the way we're approaching the whole B Corp thing. It's just, I think it was, I forget whether it was Phil or Crystal, I'm sorry, one of you said there's no one person that's responsible for sustainability in the in your enterprise. Same thing here. We all kind of just take it on in our various roles and try to weave it into every one of our different projects or day-to-day processes and activities. So it's a part of what we do. I don't know if that answers your question. I'm sorry.
No, it does, absolutely. The part of the reason why I brought this question is, well, I am a person who works at the Terrace Communication Department. So I know that it's difficult. There is this very fine line between communicating what you're doing, what you've been working hard on, and bragging. So we don't want to come across as if we are bragging about what we do, but also we find it so important to talk about this, because when we speak, we make so many connections and we can really spread the word, and we can really show that there is a way, which is a more difficult way to do business, but that it's worth it. So I was hoping you guys could give me questions to help me with my personal challenge here at the Terra. Well, yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I just think looking for the opportunities where you can inspire people to do the same, or to think differently about all of the little business decisions they make. Like when they have the opportunity to realize that this business is this playground or this engine, this force for good, as B Corp would say, and that they can just start tweaking those decisions. If you can influence people, I feel like that's the appropriate way to communicate that you're a part of the B Corp family. I don't like the idea of being like, here's my certification, this is my sticker, you can trust me because you see this logo. But I try to focus on where, and I think we should all consider where are those opportunities where we can influence others to just think a little bit differently, maybe open their eyes, be aspirational on how we do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, I have just one last question for you guys, and then we have many questions from the audience. You guys are killing it. So my last question is, I understand that your efforts with sustainability and community have started long before you were certified as a B Corp, because, well, if you weren't doing this work, you wouldn't be certified after all. And we have a lot of people in the audience who are not working or who don't own business who are B Corp already, but they want to do something. They want to start creating impact. So could you guys please share, in your opinion, what do you think that a coffee business can start to do to create a positive impact? Phil, could you please tell us, in your perspective, what importers could do?
Oh, it's the pressure of going first. I think, well, I think as importers, we tend to send out a lot of samples to coffee roasters. So I think finding a compostable packaging for our samples would be a great first step. Then it would be making sure that, yeah, you've worked long-term with your producers. I know I keep going back to the producers, but it's our main focus on the business. Because, you know, it's not just all about the story these days. You know, I think that was maybe 10 years ago in the coffee industry where you wanted to know the name. You want to know how you're helping that producer now and how you can give back to their community as well as your own. So you can put on initiatives with selling your coffee as a coffee roaster, and that can benefit all down the supply chain. So yeah, okay. It's a little bit tricky from an importer's side.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose. How about you, Losel? Could you give some tips to roasters who want to start creating a positive impact?
Yeah, I think there is no one-size-fits-all model. I think it really depends on your personal circumstances and situation. So, you know, without ducking the question, what I would say is I would come back to the assessment. It's so worth it. Go in there, spend that hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it takes you to go through, because it breaks down the different elements of B Corp kind of focus and potential projects and activities into some really manageable, thoughtful chunks. So governance, workers, the environment, community, customers, suppliers. And I think once you kind of have that as a simple framework of what is that, like 5 or 6 buckets, and then the types of questions that the assessment asks you, you're going to come up with your own answers that are going to be meaningful and important to you in your company. Whether that be, you know, Phil's example of the compostable packaging for sending out samples. For us as a roaster, it's, you know, our single biggest consumer is our roasting machine, the building, our delivery processes and the ways in which we deliver, the packaging that we use to send out our coffee to our partners. So it's really going to be personal, based on your circumstances and your company's operations. Dig into the assessment, and it will really, I think, be incredibly well spent.
Awesome, thank you. Crystal, same question to you.
Losel just said it exactly like I would say it, pretty much. I don't have much to add. I would say if you are an employee in a business that is not a B Corp and you care about these things, pick a few things and bring them up with the people who make decisions. Don't be afraid to encourage the ownership of the company that you work for to consider these things. They may not have heard of B Corp. They may think they don't have time, but I know for myself, having the encouragement of my staff who cared about the things that I really cared about, but a lot of times thought I didn't have time to actually address, by having them surround me with their energy and their interest in this. That's how we collectively got to where we're at today and how we continue to move forward. Second piece of advice would be don't be overwhelmed. When you do the assessment, you're going to make a list a mile long and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, there's no way we'll ever get to this. Just pick a few things that you can start with. And I have a running list all of the time. These are the big projects, the things I hope to do someday. And then like, here's the one easy thing that I just know that I can handle right away. So break it down. Don't be overwhelmed. It's a lot, but it's worthwhile if you go after it piece by piece.
Great, thank you. So I think we have time for one question from the audience, right? Okay. So I have one question. Actually, I have many, so but we don't have time for that. But I will bring first before the message. Before the question. I will bring a message from a person. They wrote to us. I'm considering a drastic change in my career, moving from being an employed teacher to starting a coffee business. Nonetheless, it only makes sense to me if it is a B Corp coffee shop. Hence, my excitement for this panel. Thank you for bringing it forward. So, thank you guys. We're inspiring it, people. And now for the question, it's from Spencer Ross. He said, as we approach the other side of COVID, how do you feel how do you feel COVID has accelerated or decelerated your business strategy, both in long term and day to day, vis-a-vis sustainability objectives and satisfying B Corp impact factors? Losel, would you like to start that?
Yeah, and I won't make a joke this time. I think, it's a great question. I think it is the question of the moment. It's the question of the next 10 to 15 years. And I think as a team, because it has been very much a team discussion, COVID has, for us, kind of re-emphasized the importance of being values-led and purpose-driven, and really at the core of everything we do, kind of embodying and striving for the B Corp principles. I think COVID has shown in so many different ways, public health, economic kind of situation and outcomes, just the importance of equity, the importance of sustainability, the importance of just justice. And I think, for us as a team, we've been talking, and I think Crystal talked about the importance of transparency. Twice a week, beginning of the week, end of the week, we have a team meeting, half the team virtually, the other half here at the roastery. And all of these topics are things that we talk about, again, just woven through the course of our operations kickoff and operations wrap up Monday and Friday. And I think the team's really invigorated about making sure that as we come out of this, our business strategy is even more embedded in the B Corp principles. And we're now hearing that from our customers, both existing customers and potential new ones, that, it's a focus on local, it's a focus on the importance of community, of, sustainability. So, that's not why we're doing it, but it's certainly nice to hear it being played back to us. And again, as I said earlier, it just reinvigorates and reinforces kind of the team's energy. So if there's one thing COVID has done, it's made us even more sure that getting certified and now getting recertified was the right thing to do.
What about you, Phil? Do you feel that COVID has accelerated or decelerated the strategies when it comes to sustainability?
I would say it's accelerated it. It's made us take a step back from what we were doing, from the monotonous day-to-day work we were doing sometimes, and just actually we got to speak with our customers more regularly, because fortunately coffee shops were closed, so we had to work with their contracts and make sure that it was, they could come out the other side as well as they could, but not have a ton of coffee that was old and they had to start roasting. So we tried to manage all their contracts accordingly. I think, it's made us look at projects that we've been speaking of for years and actually go and do them, because we had then the time. So that's actually helped us build the business up more sustainably, and we've actually hired people coming out of COVID, which is, I think, great to see and quite rare in lots of cases. So no, I think it's made us, as I said, take a step back, but it's actually put us in good stead for the future.
Yeah, it makes us take a step back, but it also creates like this sense of urgency that we already had, but now it becomes so much stronger. How about you, Crystal? What do you think?
For us in North America, in the retail sector, because so many cafes and restaurants closed and people left their hospitality jobs, now they're finding it to be a struggle to want to come back. And I think it addresses a concern we've all had for a long time about the industry, about the pay, about the hours, about how people are treated fairly or unfairly in this industry, in the coffee industry, and particularly in the more on the restaurant side of things. So it's made us think a lot. I mean, we already were paying what was considered minimum, not minimum wage, actually double minimum wage, which would be living wage in our area, but that's not enough. And so now we're having conversations about what can we afford to pay and how do we need to rewire this hospitality industry so that it's a place where people can have thriving wages, where they can enjoy their quality of life, where they can build careers in it. Like, is being a barista the end all? Like, what does it look like to have a profession in coffee, to have a career in coffee? If you're not an owner, what are the options for you? So some of these conversations, I feel like they were sort of in the background before, but now they're in the forefront as we're watching people struggle with an interest to come back into our industry. And I don't question or blame them at all for being hesitant to come back into it and for it to be a challenge for some people to want to come back to this industry. And I think it's great for us as owners to really be thinking and asking ourselves, how can we create something that's more sustainable for the workforce for the long run? How can it be an invigorating place for people? How can they see a future for themselves here that they're excited about? And that has to do with wages for sure. And it's forcing us to have some real looks at that.
For sure. Guys, this has been a great talk. It's really inspiring, really nice, but our time's up. I cannot thank you all enough for spending time to be here with us today. Thank you so much for your inputs.